welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. This is a rather late stream for us here at Crypto Saving Expert. Usually we do these in the morning, but today I have been traveling. As you can see, we are again not in the studio, so we've had to port it back a little bit today, but we'll be back at an earlier stream time tomorrow. Let's take a look at the markets and see what's happened this morning. So we can see here on the Crypto Saving Expert Instagram. If you haven't already, I definitely recommend following us over there. We post the recent news over on there. So we've seen Mike Novogratz is bullish. Obviously, let's take a look at the next piece of information here and see what this is. So Kathy Wood has tweeted and said, crypto did not force SVB and Signature into bankruptcy. In my view, Fed policy was the primary culprit because of a VC funding drought and higher yields on money market funds. Deposits left the US banking system. In our view, crypto is a solution to the central points of failure, the opacity, and the regulatory mistakes in the traditional financial system. Made the scapegoat for policy mistakes, crypto will move offshore, depriving the US of one of the most important innovations in history. And so very pro crypto things again from Kathy Wood. And we can see finally on this quick news update, we can see the new management of FTX has published a list of debtors that shows that former inner circle of the company, headed by Sam Bankman-Fried, received no less than $3.3 billion in loans and payments, with Sam receiving $2.2 billion alone. So that is a huge amount of money there. Let's take a look at what's happening in the chat. This is a late one. Yes, it definitely is. We'll be back to the morning streams tomorrow. I've just been flying all day, but we are now back in action to see what's happening in the markets. We can see Bitcoin is at $24,778 and Ethereum sat at 1,663. So we have seen a slight move to the upside in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin's had a nice 15.15% increase in the last 7 days. We'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart after we run through today's news. Let's see what's happening over here. So first of all, we have Coinbase partnering with Standard Chartered Bank for customers in Singapore. Now, Coinbase is trying to branch out into different countries, and we can see here they are making a huge effort with those in Singapore. We have first seen this partnership where they are collaborating with the financial company, and it's part of Coinbase's efforts to ramp up its international expansion plan across 6 continents in 8 weeks. We've also seen them add the Sing Pass, and this means that those that are in Singapore can actually verify their identity within just 2 clicks. So they're trying to make the accessibility for those in Singapore as easy as possible to get into the cryptocurrency space. Positive things all around. We want cryptocurrency to be accessible, and we want these companies, even though they are centralized exchanges, and we always say to move your funds off centralized exchanges, having centralized exchanges that are incredibly accessible for those new to the space is a great way that we can build adoption for cryptocurrency. Let's move on to the next article here and see what is happening. So Circle has given an update on USDC reserves. So over the weekend, we did see, it feels like it was ages ago now because there's been so much news in the market this week. The USDC did depeg from the dollar last weekend. People were managing to buy $1 for 90 cents, essentially. I think it went all the way down to 86 cents. I think that is the lowest we got. I'm sure we'll, 85 cents it says in this article. So the reason USDC depegged was because they held a certain amount of their assets in SVB. But then as soon as, in fact, let's not spoil the article. Let's talk about it in here. In the aftermath of the turmoil, USDC repegged to the US dollar at the despite dropping as low as 85 cents, as the extent of the SVB collapse on Circle was unclear. Circle and its CEO have since made several reassurances that the company is taking the correct steps to reinforce the backing of its stablecoin. So let's talk about what actually happened in the first place. Circle held $3.3 billion in USDC reserves within the collapsed SVB bank. And initially, this caused the depeg, but assurances from the US government, Federal Reserve, and FDIC that depositors will be made whole restored stability. And we've seen that nice move back up to $1. But obviously, USDC and Circle can't just ignore this happened. They need to discuss this and see how we can stop things like this happening again in the future. And we can see here from this statement they've made, they are thinking about this and thinking about how they can become more stable and how they can have situations like this happen again. They want to make sure that they've secured themselves from a DPEG. But obviously, that is a very, very difficult thing to stay strong through. Let's take a look at what they've said anyway. So the company have said a stable US banking system where deposits are safe and accessible is essential to the global financial system and to the operations of every fiat-backed stablecoin. And this suggests the company acknowledges the weaknesses currently within the US banking system regarding keeping USDC stable. So we will, I expect, see much more news about this within the next couple of weeks, seeing how they can adapt from this. Obviously, we need to learn from things like this and see how we can develop. Now, obviously, this is a scenario which is very, very hard to avoid, but it's interesting to see how the industry can grow following this. And all of the time, every single time we see something go wrong within the industry, we do see the industry grow in some way, and we do see us build upon these mistakes so that they can have less of effect on the industry in the future. Let's take a look at the next article now and see what is happening. Before we do, I have completely forgot to say, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press that bell notification button. I promise I have no more trips away planned from Monday, so we'll be back in the studio at the same time every single day. Let's take a look at this article and see what is happening. KuCoin and Circle have invested in Chinese stablecoin. Now, this comes after news we did cover on the channel a couple of weeks ago that actually stablecoins within the cryptocurrency industry, US dollar-based stablecoins weren't getting as much. The market cap of US dollar-based stablecoins was reducing in comparison to other fiat-based stablecoins, and we are actually seeing yuan-backed stablecoins progressing and growing within the space. So let's take a look at this article. The Chinese stablecoin market is gradually beginning to heat up, with Tether previously announcing its own offshore yuan-pegged token. Other prominent companies, KuCoin and Circle, have also ventured into the market via investment in CNHC Group, the company behind the Chinese stablecoin CNHC. So CNHC raised $10 million in a Series A equity funding round led by the venture arm of KuCoin Exchange, and says the project's co-founder. So IDG Capital and Circle, the issuer of the second largest US dollar stablecoin, were among the investors of the round, which lasted between last March and August. The project plans to expand its adoption across Asia with a specific interest in Hong Kong, which lately softened its stance on cryptocurrency. In addition, it's moving its headquarters to the city. The co-founder said they intended to make CNHC stablecoin a part of the foundation and infrastructure in Hong Kong Web3 ecosystem. Again, this is something really, really positive. We are seeing them make cryptocurrencies more accessible and seem more user-friendly. Having these different stable coins in different fiat currencies is going to help bring new people into the space, I believe. And we can see here that involves listing the token on several centralized and decentralized exchanges, as well as increasing its on and off ramp channels, according to Cham. With the capital, CNHC also plans to grow its team. So the race for CNH stablecoin dominance is ongoing. Unlike Circle, the largest stablecoin introduced its own yuan-backed stablecoin CNHT about 4 years ago on Ethereum. In December, the token was launched on the Tron blockchain, tradable on Bitfinex. So that same month, another rival stablecoin, TCNH, was launched exclusively on the Tron blockchain. Commenting on the token, Tron's founder said the Chinese yuan has been a long dominant currency for the crypto industry. While the stablecoin market has hitherto been dominated by US dollar offerings, at least 2 billion people in Asia prefer Chinese yuan rather than US dollars. Let's see what's happening over in the chat. I'll let him know. We can see here that obviously, as I said earlier, the US dollar stable coins, US dollar I can't even think of the word that I've just said. Anyway, US dollar-based stablecoins were a huge percentage of the market, and that percentage is reducing in the recent months. We have reported that on that earlier in a couple of weeks ago. We covered this in the news, and we are seeing it again now today as well. Let's move on to the next article to see what's happening. Before we do, though, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press that bell notification button so that you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We have an exciting article here, and it is that Bitcoin and gold's correlation is near identical since CBB collapse. So the correlation between gold and Bitcoin has been nearly identical in direction and price action in the aftermath of the SVB shutdown. Whilst bank stocks are tumbling, tech firms continue layoffs, and uncertainty rings around the US, the two assets seem unfazed. Obviously, we've seen Bitcoin increase massively since we had the inflation data for the US on Tuesday. And we have now seen that gold and Bitcoin are correlated pretty nicely since the events of everything that went on with the banks last weekend. Now, obviously, everybody calls Bitcoin digital gold, and we all think that Bitcoin is this brilliant, brilliant asset here at Crypto Saving Expert. It's a very good argument between the two. I am very, very pro Bitcoin. There is an interesting stance against Bitcoin and more towards gold, and it is that gold is obviously a physical asset. It always has the demand for jewelry and such. There's also the argument against gold, which is that we could find extra supply and there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. I could have that debate all day. I find it incredibly, incredibly interesting. Let's take a look at this article anyway and see what's happening. We have the comparison of Bitcoin to gold is nothing new. Due to the scarcity of Bitcoin, it has been theorized for years it may reach and take over the market cap of gold. In this event, one Bitcoin would be worth $600,000 based on the current circulating supply. Now, that is exactly what I would like to see. The collapse of SVB has been reported worldwide since the news broke last week, and several other banks have since closed their doors as the magnitude of the situation has begun to take hold. And SVB had reportedly over $100 billion in customer deposits at the time the bank went under. And although the US economy and stock market appear to be in limbo whilst investors brace themselves for potential aftershocks, Bitcoin and gold have risen to the occasion. Obviously, we did see a positive move for the Bitcoin price. We can take a sneak look at the Bitcoin chart now and see what's happening. We are currently sat at $24,660. We've seen a nice move to the upside, and we are holding those levels pretty nicely as well. So we did already retest the $25,250 level back in the end of February. We then came all the way down to below $20,000 over the weekend, and we have now come back up to retest these levels and retest some of these levels of resistance. We will cover that at the end of today's stream when we do a little bit of chart analysis. So don't tune out just yet. We will go into a little bit more detail. We can see here that there are 3 reasons an altcoin becomes the biggest loser of the week. Now, as I've been saying in these live streams, we're trying out a different type of article in the news on Crypto Saving Expert, doing some more educational pieces as well and stuff that will stay evergreen content, as you would say. So if you want to just learn little tricks and little things like this, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com and go to the news section. You can hear the latest cryptocurrency news, and you can also find some little tips like this that may help you on your cryptocurrency journey. We also have completely free guides, courses, and market data. All you need to do is go to cryptosavingexpert.com, press that blue sign up button, fill that information in. And if you tick that button there, you get a newsletter in your email box every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. We don't spam you. That's the only email you get from us. And we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And it's at no extra cost. Let's take a look at the next article now anyway. So BUSD drops to lowest market cap in nearly 2 years. Now, on the back of the New York regulators ordering Paxos to cease BUSD minting, the stablecoin's market cap has dropped to its lowest value for nearly 2 years. In February, we covered the story involving New York regulators and Paxos. The company then clarified that holders of BUSD would still be able to redeem the stablecoin for US dollars to convert it into USDP until February 2024. Now, Paxos was forced into this action by the New York Department of Financial Services and thus ended its relationship with Binance in providing the service for BUSD. So Paxos is actually the issuer for BUSD. There is no indication that Binance has found another issuer for BUSD since the shutdown of minting, and the market cap of cryptocurrency's 3rd largest stablecoin has been subject to a steady downtrend as users redeem BUSD. So we've seen a wobble for both BUSD and USDC now. USDT holding strong as the biggest stablecoin within the cryptocurrency industry. I know USDT gets a lot of slack, and it doesn't get a lot of slack. A lot of people push a lot of FUD about USDT, you do have to say it seems to withhold anything. So let's take a look at the next article now and see what's happening. Approximately $47 million in crypto linked to the chip mixer investigation was seized by Germany and the US. So authorities from Germany and the US, supported by Europol, have targeted chip mixer, a popular cryptocurrency mixer in the underground world of cybercrime. In addition, Switzerland, Belgium, and Poland assisted in the probe. So national authorities shut down the platform's infrastructure for alleged involvement in money laundering activities on the 15th of March. And chip mixer was established in mid-2017 and is an unauthorized cryptocurrency mixer. Now, obviously, regulators don't like cryptocurrency mixes. Mixes are where you can send your cryptocurrency into a smart contract. It will mix up your cryptocurrencies with lots of other people's cryptocurrencies, spit it back out again, and it really makes it very difficult to find the trail of where that cryptocurrency has been. Therefore, many malicious people within the space could use it to, after they've laundered money, in order to clean their money, essentially. So to launder the money. And obviously, regulators don't like things like this. Makes sense. But we did see Tornado Cash. I don't know if we'll have it in this article. Yes, we do. The Tornado Cash case. This was one of the biggest cryptocurrency mixes. And this was shut down in August last year. And Dutch authorities arrested a Russian developer that contributed to the Tornado Cash code. Now, I think this is absolutely bizarre. All this developer did was create a piece of code and deploy it on, like, it just launched a piece of code. He had no involvement in money laundering. If he laundered money, then I understand. But all he's done is write a piece of code that is actually it's a pretty interesting piece of code. To not be able to write a piece of code is bizarre to me. So that is what we are seeing there. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart now and see what is happening in a little bit more detail. We have just covered this quickly. We can see here, after the inflation rates in the US were announced on Tuesday, we saw a rise all the way up to $26,380. And I'm still smiling about it. It was a nice move to the upside. We have had a move to the downside, up all the way down to $19,550. And we were all cheering about that because we were closing the $20,000 CME gap. But we created a nice big one instead. So we do still have that worry on our hands. That is, Bitcoin always likes to keep us on our toes and on the edge of our seats. So right now we have a Bitcoin CME gap down at $20,140. But we also have some very exciting CME gaps all the way up at, let's pull these out. We have one first at $28,800. We also have one nicely up at $35,200 as well. And they will act like magnets for the Bitcoin price, whether the lower one fills first or the upper one fills first. I think this will be heavily affected by the general economy, not just the cryptocurrency industry. We are seeing major effects taking place. We have the interest rates in the US, more information about that on the 22nd of March. So next week, we will hear more about that. So stay tuned with us. Come back to our live streams. We do these live streams, as I said, every single day, talking about the latest cryptocurrency news and taking a look at the markets. It is usually earlier than this. This is a very late stream. We'll be back to the mornings from tomorrow. So I hope you've enjoyed. Again, apologies for the setup. We'll be back to the studio for the foreseeable future from Monday. I hope you've enjoyed this late live stream. I didn't want to miss it. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you back in the morning.